we're not in it yet. So anyway, welcome everyone. Hello, I'm Adam Phillips. Welcome to Paul's Crossroads ceremony. Before we begin the bell that will begin our event, I ask everyone to shut off their cell phones, their beepers, their monkey minds. Please show up. All that's got to do is just be here and take a moment. Before we actually begin the ceremony prep, I really want to thank Charlotte, the Celebrate Foundation, and Pat, and everybody who made this day possible, including people helping with refreshments, to help clean this place up and spruce it up and everything, and thank you so much. And it's just wonderful that all these things came together for us to be here tonight and really have a wonderful experience. I think of it as like going down the rabbit hole. This is what we're all going to do together, okay? We're all going to like hold hands and just have an adventure, okay? He's going to be the focus. It's the wonderful man. So it's a moment to appreciate and just have fun. Okay? So we're going to start. I'm going to do the bell.
A little louder.
Can you hear me?
A little louder.
All right, I'll try to project. Okay? I may lapse into my normal FM late night voice, but I'll try. This is the thing that gets us there. So just take a deep breath, get comfortable. Beautiful, right? Okay. We're here tonight to acknowledge and to celebrate the crossroads where Paul Wax finds himself. In doing so, we gather to witness in microcosm the journey that has brought Paul to this place. And we support him as he chooses a new life path as a man, as a provider, and as a productive, creative, and self-expressed citizen of this community and the larger world. That's what we're here for. Honoring the past, being clear and straight about what is so in the present, and declaring a future is what tonight is all about for Paul and for those who care about him and are connected to him in any way. I ask Paul to please light this candle for us as a symbol of that intention.
Thank you. I'm delighted to do this.
It's our intention, Ken. Okay. Do you love real life? On one level, this ceremony is about a man and his work. And on another level, it's also about what work itself is. I've always wanted to be able to quote Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, at one of my ceremonies. So I finally got my chance. She said, "Work is the rent you pay for the room you occupy on earth." We all know what that means. Work is a part of every meaningful life. It connects us to the world each day and gives us a place to go. It puts bread on the table and allows us to nourish ourselves and our loved ones. Our work also benefits others. It puts bread or something else that they value on their tables. So much of what we offer is our work because it's what we do, and as such, it's intimately tied up with who we believe ourselves to be. Our labors give us a place in this world. After talking to Paul's many friends and admiring colleagues over the past several weeks, it's clear to me that Paul has worked hard and well his whole life and given himself over to every task he's had. He grew up in the Brooklyn and Jersey City, but mainly Jersey City, of the 50s and 60s, learning the guitar and working in a supermarket. Through his first adult jobs as a bond processor at manufacturers Hanover's, then as a junior data processor, and that gave him his first exposure to information technology, which I'm just beginning to sort of understand is really interesting. We were at war in Vietnam, and soon Paul was drafted into the Army, where he was trained as a telecommunications encryption code specialist, and served in Thailand, South Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. After his discharge, Paul returned to work in early corporate computing and went on to marry and become a father to 3 girls, beautiful girls, while attending evening classes for 14 years to attain his degree by the age of 36. His development work with the pioneers in virtual college distance learning at NYU during the 1980s is still being used today. All in all, Paul's career has been a steady progression toward greater responsibility and mastery in his work for others. Throughout it, Paul has brought intelligence, solid character, and good-humored fun in all his endeavors. And I'll just sort of say, parenthetically, I talked to a lot of people about Paul all over the country. And this isn't just fluff. This isn't like a nice thing to say. They really did testify to his competence, his intelligence, his good-humored fun, and his character. I mean, people really admire and love this guy. Okay, so that's who we're dealing with.
I paid him later.
See, paid him in euros. Yet in spite of all this good faith and success, Paul was suddenly downsized last December at the height of his power. Not an easy moment at 61. 61 years into a long life, which, suffice it to say, has not always been easy for him. Yet Paul is crystal clear that each of these major challenges in his life has also brought him to new heights. And each phase of his life has offered its own hard-earned lesson as a gift. The meaning of that lesson may sometimes have been unclear or even unknowable to Paul at the time. But it was always there for him to rely on down the road, a gem he could integrate into the next phase of his life.
Louder.
And finding that gem, I'll talk the paragraph again, it's really important. The meaning of that lesson may sometimes have been unclear or even unknowable to Paul at the time. Yet it was always there for Paul to rely on down the road, a gem that he could integrate into the next phase of his career in life. Finding that gem, polishing it, bringing out its true color and luster, then putting it to work for the good of ourselves and for others, is the work inside the work. To paraphrase Paul, there are no accidents. The poet T.S. Eliot said, in part, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started, and to know the place for the first time. Not known, because not looked for, but heard, half heard, in the stillness between the two waves of the sea." From the stillness and care that we are creating here, let's witness what those waves of Paul's life's labors have been so far, and what are the gifts that they have laid upon the shore. Please open up the first page. Tell us what is inside and what its gift is.
Well, this is the beginning of my life. And I have some symbols, artifacts, etc. No, this is not Kramer when he was a child. This was me. At 5 years of age with my little flannel rocket ship shirt on. I was a big fan of Captain Video. And I still am. Also, as Adam mentioned, I had my start in, at that time was known as electronic data processing. I'm sure Pat can testify to that. This is a bottle of bits. These are the chips that came out of the punch cards. And I had this on my desk wherever I worked for the past 30 years. So if you open this up, it's like confetti, but every little piece has a number on it, which is the hole in the card that was punched. We used a lot of machines like that back then. And of course I was and I still am, a guitar player at heart. And my wife got me this as a nice gift one day. It's a very pleasant surprise. She's so sweet. And I kind of like it. Let's move on. All right? I'll be speaking to you not only from the book, but straight from the heart, because these words came from the heart before they were printed in the book. I grew up in a lower middle-class neighborhood in Jersey City. In both places, I had many new experiences. New places, new people, new relationships, new things to learn while going through the hurdles and challenges of being an adolescent as well as a young man. The joy of picking up a guitar that my uncle bought me for my 14th birthday, and for the first time, and strumming the first of many chords to follow. The sense of belonging, especially being a member of a local rock band called the Gamboge, which I'm embarrassed to tell you what it really meant. Playing at many a Sweet 16, Y dances, and eventually some small venues. And plenty of girlfriends, dates to the museums, planetarium, or just hanging out, which were the most happiest times of my youth. Yet, while all this was going on, I had the constant fear, as most adolescents do, of not being accepted, of being left on your own, and then to be responsible for my own actions. I worked part-time at a local pharmacy, variety store, and supermarket to get a sense of economic independence. And so, the prize of accomplishment, achievement, acceptance, and of stability was there within my grasp. But what barriers, forks in the road, and roadblocks would I encounter? And how can I choose or break through them? I was still dealing with a lack of confidence and not having any prior experience. Those really were my enemies. And yet, I made friends with them. I embraced them. I looked them in the eye, and for every failure, every bad chord, or every failed relationship with a girl, which I'm sure we all had plenty, us guys, right? For every argument with an elder or figure of authority, there was a lesson to be learned from that, a message to be found, elements that built a more solid ground to stand on. The more I failed, the more I tried, and the more I learned, the better off I became. I became a better student, a better worker, a better guitar player, and overall, a better young man, despite the failures, despite, and even because of the roadblocks and setbacks. They taught me. After all, if I never got back up from my first fall when I was learning to walk, I should still be right here crawling in front of you. I was not going to give up. I was determined. I was determined to succeed. And with my tenacity, I would not allow failure. From this, I was given the gift of tenacity and determination.
Tenacity and determination. Now, with a little process note here, we're actually going to repeat this last part of it, what it says about the gift. And then I'm going to repeat it, and then we're all going to say it together, okay? We're really going to give it right back to him tenfold, okay? And from this, then I'll say it, and then you all say it.
From this, I was given the gift of tenacity and determination.
Tenacity and determination.
Tenacity and determination.
Good. I acknowledge this lesson and am grateful for it.
Thank you, Paul. That gift. Now, please take the second gift and then open it up for us.
Okay. Well, briefly, this is a picture of me when I was on leave from the service before I went overseas. The girl to my left, to your right, was really a very special person to me back in those days. Everything to live for at that point. And No offense to Lisa, because times have changed. Not offense. Okay.
She was not
And
initiated.
here's a picture of me in my camp where I took my basic training.
All this will be available.
It will be
after
available.
the show
Pass
in
it
a
around.
Post-game wrap-up.
And these are representative, these are the ribbons. They used to call them potato salad. We used to wear them on our uniforms. And it's the National Conduct Medal, Southeast Asia Campaign Medal, and the Vietnam Service Campaign Medal. These all are ribbons that you wear, but actually when I finally hit the ground and start pushing up daisies, they'll give me medals. They can bury me with them, but I don't really care. And this is a presidential citation, which was given to me. Oh, I'm sorry, I dropped another one. This was a good conduct medal. And
See?
the other medal was for dropping other medals on the floor. So anyway, this was a presidential citation medal. My unit got it for going into Cambodia the year before the Cambodian invasion. So that was, at that time, that was classified information. So, when I was drafted, I left what felt like a life full of promise and opportunity, with many friends, and a girl who I thought at the time that there was no other like her in the world. And now the loneliness, the bitter cold, the darkness, the scent of hopelessness mixed with gunpowder, grass, leather, and even Mother Nature herself. First the cold of the Georgia winter, where I took basic training. And then later on, the heat and humidity of the jungle of Southeast Asia. Overall, I had a basic feeling of being lost and the dread of losing everything that I had. Yet, I also had my determination to pull through all of this and survive. It would be better to think positive, I thought, for if I didn't, hope itself would not survive. I had my sense of humor, an ability to laugh at the absurd and to render the absurd defenseless. I took the reality of where I was and rolled with the punches, learned what I could about the darker, more violent side of humanity, and compared that to the light that had shone in my life up to then, and allowed that light to be a beacon through the dark times of bitter loneliness and anxiety. I learned that things don't last forever, not just lives, but love, friendships, ideals, and such. But they would eventually be replaced. There had to be more. And if I did not believe in that, there would be nothing left to live for. So I lived, day by day, getting closer to the day when I would no longer be within this nightmare of a world. Sometimes I think of it in retrospect as a bad dream, and then suddenly I woke up. As someone once said, dreams are lies. It's the dreaming that's real. From this I was given the gift of optimism and hope.
Optimism and hope.
Optimism and hope.
I acknowledge this lesson, and I am grateful for it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Now here's the third gift.
Green. Green for Irish good luck. Green for go. Green for the lush planet in which we live. And green for anxiety trying to open up a green box. Okay, well, these are copies of my degrees, my bachelor's degree in humanities, my master's degree in management IT auditing, and I also have here, right, this represents the good times, obviously, a picture of me in front of my house where I lived in Central Jersey. My first house, I was the first one in my entire family and lineage to buy a house, and the first one to have so many headaches running it. This is another photo of my extended family, my aunts, my cousins, and my 3 daughters at the time. And this is me when I played in the Chase band called the Sound Bites from 1996 to 2001. 5 years of great playing. And it got me out of a lot of good assignments and work too. Well, so here I was, released from this nightmare, full of optimism and hope, as well as tenacity and determination. I made it. I was ready for the good life I survived for. I went back to my old job, my old band. I couldn't go back to my old girlfriend though, she had left me. However, this gave me the impetus to learn as much as I could about my job and focus on it, applying myself with a hunger for knowledge, which can only be satisfied by attending evening classes for nearly 14 years. While I went on this journey to seek knowledge, I met and married a woman who I thought would be the symbol of my hopes and a strong supporter of my quest. During this time, I also made some new friends. Children came into our lives. You know, caring for others, other than myself alone, became the prime directive in my life. It fueled my quest to keep achieving, not to let anyone down. What I learned in school helped me to thrive in my job, in the very real world. I made new friends, such as Don Q, which is here today, was here today, and alliances. I truly began to believe in the American dream, and I did not want to wake up from it. I earned and received both my degrees, as I showed you before the copies of. I was even asked to join the adjunct faculty where I graduated, and I accepted that with great pride. I had a family to come home to. I remember the times when all my girls were hugging my leg and not letting go of it as I came through the door from work. Lots of weekends now that were free to enjoy my family. Trips to the zoo, movies, museums, parks, and so on. There were these things which was something to really be proud of and to show for my efforts. I was an achiever. I considered myself a self-made man, depended upon no one else to be the provider of my family. A good friend to many. All that I had worked so very hard for materialized before me. I was the first of my lineage, as I mentioned before, to have my own home. And again, this fed the fuel to my fire of diligence and sense of competence. I gave the honor and the blessing, and I have the honor and blessing, pardon me, to have Don here as my friend Don Cordarolo at the ceremony. And he knew me during these days, and I would like him to come up and say a few words to you about this period of my life. So Don, that's an order.
No, I've known Paul probably 30 some odd years. No. And I've known,
We want to know.
no, and everything about him, everything that's said about him so far, and you said and Adam said, is very, very true. He's tenacious, he's funny, he's clever, he's smart, he's industrious. But that's not the best thing about him. I mean, some of you probably don't know him, and then you're lucky. But some of you do know him. But the thing about Paul, he does things with grace. And I don't mean ballerina grace. I'm talking about caring, making it look easy, making you feel part of it, grace. I knew him when he was just talking about it. We were the young Turks. We had the world by the pants. And it was ours. It was ours. We were the heir apparents. Of what? That I don't know yet. Because throughout the years, we met at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it was good. It was really good. We had we had a bunch of characters, characters that you don't see anymore in business. You don't. They were true characters, and they added to us. I moved on to Chase. I said, Paul, you've got to come. You've got to come. And he did. And we met weird people, strange, weird people. But the thing is, Paul kept his grace. I know that's a bad term to use for guys. It is. Grace. What the hell is he talking about? And it's that special thing. It's that makes me feel good.